Hello everyone, I'm making this video to show you all of the units that you can use in the Protoss campaign, StarCraft II Legacy of the Void. I'm gonna show you all the variants for each unit and give you a brief description and show you a brief video of what they do and how they're used and my thoughts on them. Also, for the purpose of making this video easier, I will be using the passive ability from the Spear of Adun that shields units when they're about to die. Like when they take critical damage, they get a shield for a couple of seconds. I just don't want you to be confused thinking that that shield is a particular unit's ability. It's passive for all units. Okay, let's start with the melee warrior. The Aiur faction is the zealot. It has charge like your typical zealot, and it has a whirlwind ability which attacks all units around it. So if you are in a mission where you have to fight a lot of zerglings, or your unit composition is such that you don't have a lot of AoE for the zerglings, you might want to pick this one. The second one, which was the one I used in the normal campaign that I just played, it's the Nerazim Dark Templar Zealot. What he does is, instead of the whirlwind, he can stun enemies briefly. His charge and his stun ability are by default on auto-casting, so what he would do is charge and stun as soon as possible. And it might seem like that's an enhancement of the charge, but it actually isn't. So if you want, you can manually control it by turning the autocast off. And the last zealot is the Purifier melee warrior, the Sentinel. It once again has charge, but in addition to that, once every 2 minutes, he can resurrect himself. He dies and then he repairs himself for a brief period and comes back to life, and can do that every 2 minutes. That would probably be pretty useful in Brutal, so that you don't lose as many units. It is the weakest damage-wise, but it is the most durable, and certain situations can be very good. Also, curious fact about the Sentinel, he is mechanical, so if you're using the passive that repairs all mechanical units, I wasn't using it personally, but if you are, that zealot will get repaired as well. Okay, moving on to the ranged warrior. That is the Dragoon for the Aiur faction. These are basically the stalkers from previous versions of StarCraft II, only they're slower, they're a little bigger, they do more damage, they have more life and more shields, I think, and they have longer range. So they're stronger, tougher, long-ranged, but slower stalkers, and they can't blink. That's basically it. It only does damage and moves slowly. It's kind of like a portable photon cannon. This is what I used out of nostalgia mostly, because that was the stalker equivalent in StarCraft I. So they're the ranged warrior for the Aiur faction. The stalkers are the ranged warriors for the Nerazim, the Dark Templar. Now, in addition to their blink, they also have an ability that allows them to recharge a little bit of shields over time after you blink. And you can do the famous blink stalker micro, but you can use your units in a much more optimal way.
We are one with this cold. It is the void. You require my skills. I am the void. State thy. I am the heart of darkness. Cold. The void. Require my. State thy.
You deny the truth and prove your existence is without meaning. You shall be expunged. No trace of your suffering shall remain.
Sensors are detecting a large group of void entities moving against our nexus point.
And the final ranged warrior is the Adept. Now, unlike the previous two, these guys do bonus damage to light units. The Stalker and the Dragoon do some bonus damage to armored, but the Adept does it to light. So again, if you're going something like Immortal Heavy build that has a lot of damage against armored, you might want to choose the Adepts here to do more damage against light. Also, the Adept has a unique ability, which is the Shade. I believe it's called Shade. Essentially, you activate it, a shade of the Adept appears, and you can move that shade around. It's faster than the original Adept, and when it expires, the Adept teleports to the shade. Now what you can do is you can select the shade, hit escape and cancel the teleport, and the adepts can just stay wherever they are, and also they can move separately from the shade. So it's a useful 1v1 tactic or 2v2, not in the campaign. The campaign you won't fool the AI with the shades, but it's worth mentioning. It's a good escapability as well. Okay, moving on. We are at the Cloaked Warrior. The Aiur Cloaked Warrior, the Avenger, is your run-of-the-mill Dark Templar. Nothing special about it, except for the fact that, like the Purifier Zealots, resurrect once every minute and a half or once every 2 minutes. Only they do not resurrect on place, but they spawn back at the Dark Templar, the Dark Shrine. So basically, ordinary Dark Templar who respawn at the Dark Shrine after dying once every 2 minutes. The Dark Templar, the Nerazim Templar, have this really powerful ability. I chose them over the Aiur ones, called Shadow Fury. If you play World of Warcraft, it's like the Rogue's Shadow Step. No, not Shadow Step, but Killing Spree. There you go. Where the Templar jumps around units that are nearby and does damage to all of them. Now, if you get a group of Dark Templar, you can absolutely destroy groups of Zerg units with this. And finally, the Blood Hunter. They are, once again, like your standard Templar, only they have this ability that disables units and structures. Usable against one, you can do it in an area, but once you disable a unit, it cannot attack and it cannot be attacked. The clutch thing here is that if you disable detectors, they no longer are detectors. So you can infiltrate enemy lines with detectors with these Templar. They're kind of useful as well, and in certain missions might help you. Okay, moving on to the Robotic Assault. The Aiur faction is the Immortal. It's your standard Immortal, pretty much. It has bonus damage against armored units. It can activate a shield that absorbs 100 damage. It's on auto casting and it activates as soon as the shields deplete. So it is a pretty durable unit and very strong against armored. The next one is the Nerazim Annihilator. It's what I used personally. It also does bonus damage against armored, however it has no defensive capabilities, no extra shields, but it has this ability called Shadow Cannon, and it does 200 damage. That's a lot. You can two-shot Colossus with this. It has a long cooldown, but if you have, say, 5 Immortals or so, you can just wreck big units. Like 2 Immortals can take down a Colossus. I believe 3 Immortals can take down a carrier, or 4. It's really strong, so that's what I used, and on top of that it's really long ranged. So you can take pylons next to cannons without the cannons firing at you. It's really strong. And the Tal'darim Immortal, also very strong. It doesn't have any defensive capabilities like the Annihilator, but it does area damage. It can be really useful, especially if you're fighting roaches or marauders or stalkers. It really does so high of damage. I personally used the Dark Templar with Shadow Fury and didn't see much need for more AoE. But if you do, that might be the Immortal for you, or the Robotic Assault unit. Okay, moving on to the Robotic Support. The Aiur faction is the Sentry. It has the standard Sentry Guardian Shield, but instead of the Force Field for the normal game, it has the Shield Repair, or Shield Recharge. It's like a Medivac for shields. Pretty useful, and it can heal 2 units at the same time. That was the Sentry I used, pretty straightforward, pretty easy to use. The next one is the Energizer. It's the Purifier faction. Instead of the Guardian Shield, it has a portable pylon ability, or a warp field, whatever it's called, where you can warp units around it. You can activate such a mode. It does not require energy, I believe, so it's pretty useful. And it also casts a buff on friendly units that allows them to move and attack faster. It is auto-castable, so it might be a good choice. I haven't tried it much, but it seems cool. The next one is the Havoc. It's the Tal'darim Sentry. Now it has the Force Field, and you can do some interesting tactics with the Force Field, like block off rams or wall yourself in and protect yourself from Zerglings. It also has an aura which increases range of friendly units. That is interesting. I haven't tried it much, but It has the potential to be interesting, like you can outrange towers with immortals, for example, so that's cool. And it casts a debuff on units, which makes them take more damage. So there you go, these are the 3 support units. My personal choice was the Sentry because it's the easiest to use, it's pretty straightforward. You don't have to aim anything, you don't have to, just attack, move, and pop Guardian Shield if you need it. Next up, it is the Starfighter. The Aiur faction is the Phoenix. It's the standard unit from the normal game. The only difference is that in addition to doing bonus damage to light units, the Graviton Beam affects 2 units simultaneously. That's it. Otherwise, it's a standard Phoenix. The second one is the Dark Templar, the Nerazim Corsair. That's back from StarCraft 1. And it has the same abilities. It has the disruption field, or whatever it's called, that prevents units from attacking inside it and they have to go away from it. It also disables towers, which is probably why it's most useful. It's auto-castable. It's pretty useful actually sometimes. And it attacks with low damage, high attack speed, and does AoE damage. I believe it also does bonus damage to light units. It's essentially the anti-Mutalisk unit. You will probably not have any success using it against battle cruisers or carriers, but against Mutalisk, the Corsair is really strong. And the third one is the Mirage. It's from the Purifiers. It looks like a Phoenix. What it does is, again, it does bonus damage to light units, it has the Graviton Beam, but it has the, what was the ability called? Phasing Armor, I believe. If you played Warcraft 3, it's kind of like the Fairy Dragons, where a unit attacks it and it activates the ability and then the unit switches away from it. It's useful, makes it more durable. The next one is the Psionic Warrior. The Aiur faction has the High Templar. It has all the abilities you might expect. It has the feedback that drains energy and does damage, like Mana Burn. It has the Psystorm, again a pretty familiar ability, and Merge into Archon. But on top of that, what's probably the best thing about it is that the Psystorm, unlike the normal game, it does not do friendly fire, quite the opposite, it heals. So you can send your zealots charging in and then Psystorm on top of them and actually help them. So that's really useful. The second one, which was my choice again out of nostalgia, is the Dark Archon. Back in StarCraft 1 you could morph these from 2 Dark Templar. But these guys, they are not morphed, they are just trained this way. And they have 2 abilities. One is makes units go crazy in a small area, like they run around, they attack each other, things like that. It's useful. And the other one, which is my favorite, is the Mind Control. Now that ability is OP. You can mind control carriers, battle cruisers. You can't do it on hybrid, but you can do it on really strong units. It costs a lot of energy, but the mind control unit is yours permanently, and it doesn't even add to your supply. So you can be like, your supply can be 100 out of 110, and then you can mind control 5 carriers and nothing will change. And the final Psionic Warrior is the Ascendant. This is a High Templar version of the Tal'darim. They have this Psionic Orb, as opposed to the Psionic Storm. You fire the orb and it does damage to every enemy it passes by. It's kind of like Psystorm in a straight line as opposed to in an area. It's pretty useful. I think it does less damage, but has the potential to hit much more enemies. It has Mind Blast. I believe that was the ability of Tosh in the campaign of Wings of Liberty. It basically does high damage to 1 unit. And it has the Sacrifice ability, which drains the life of a friendly unit to regain energy. Alright, moving on to the Robotic Siege unit. For the Aiur faction, it's the Reaver. Reaver is again throwback to StarCraft 1. It's a very slow robot, and unlike any unit, these, I believe they're called Scarabs, the balls, they have to be recharged. So the Reaver has 5, and if it attacks constantly, it will eventually run out of Scarabs and will have to wait to recharge. They do a lot of damage, they do splash damage as well, and on top of that they do bonus damage against buildings. So it's really strong, that's what I used. Probably not as versatile as the Colossus. Does a little more damage, but it's really slow and can scale cliffs. But I chose it out of nostalgia once again. And speaking of the Colossus, that is the Purifier unit. Purifier Robotic Siege. Just like your traditional Colossus, it scales cliffs and it does AoE damage and sort of a line ahead of him. In addition to that, however, it burns the ground, and the ground is burning for some time, doing damage over time. It's probably the most useful against Zerglings and Hydralisk. And the final robotic siege is the Wrathwalker. It looks like a Colossus, but it's somewhat different. It only attacks one unit, and it has to charge up the attack. The attack speed is relatively slow, but the damage is really high, a really high single target damage. On top of that, it can move and attack. So you can do some pretty interesting tactics with that unit. It wasn't my choice, but I might end up choosing it in the Brutal campaign. It also attacks air, so you can kite and keep attacking in between cliffs and low ground, high ground. Seems like a pretty useful unit. Okay, we're almost done. Moving to the assault ship. The Aiur assault ship is, once again, a StarCraft 1 unit. It's the Arbiter. This unit cloaks all units around it, like a mothership, though I believe the area is not that big. It has a recall ability. It's not used for escaping, it's used for attacking mostly. You move the Reaver somewhere, the Arbiter somewhere, and it recalls units to it. On top of that, it has the Force Field or Stasis Field, yes, ability, which disables, kind of like that Dark Templar I mentioned before, but it disables units in an area. So a very useful thing you can do with the Arbiter is just go into an enemy base, disable a whole bunch of things, and recall your army there, and cloak it. The next unit is the Void Ray. It's your standard Void Ray. It's standard for Wings of Liberty. Back when the Void Ray had to attack for a while in order to charge up the beam. After that, the beam became an active ability. This one is like the old model. It has to attack for a while to begin doing higher damage, and on top of that, it also increases the range. So after a while, your range gets higher. You can outrange cannons and turrets, and you can chase more effectively with it. The final assault ship is the Tal'darim Void Ray. It's called the Destroyer. It looks really cool. It fires this red beam that jumps to nearby units. So it's kind of like AoE attack. Although the damage is decreased on the secondary targets. It was my choice for a while because it looks really cool, but the damage it does is not quite that amazing. I didn't like the damage all that much. So there you go. The final unit is the capital ship. The capital ship for the Aiur faction is the Carrier. It's pretty strong. It's your traditional carrier, but in addition to that, it has this mini ships flying beside it, and it heals mechanical units, friendly mechanical units that are nearby. So if you have a fleet of carriers, they heal themselves, and if you have some sentries, they'll heal the shields, so it's really strong. The Purifier unit is the Tempest. It's your standard Tempest, with the exception that it attacks both air and ground, like Heart of the Swarm, and it also has the disintegration ability from Legacy of the Void. So it, once again, really strong especially against big units. Not my choice was the Carrier, but this seems solid as well. And the final unit of this video is the capital Tal'darim ship, and that is the Mothership. It has the Black Hole ability, which traps units in it, and unlike the, I think it was called Vortex in Wings of Liberty, you can actually attack the units while they're being trapped in that black hole. It also has the Thermal Lance, which does really high damage in a straight line from the mothership to a certain location. Basically, this is probably the highest damaging unit in the entire game. It does real high damage, and with the Thermal Lance, the black hole has really good potential. It also has Blink, kind of like the Stalker, only it's a mothership. The downside is that you can only have one of these. I personally prefer the fleet of carriers, but if you're into motherships, you can get that one. It's really strong, it's really fun using the abilities. You can just black hole and then thermal lance through a black hole and just everything dies. So, that was it. Thank you very much for watching this video. It was fun to make. I could perhaps make another one after I finish the Brutal campaign to tell you my thoughts on the other units, on the units I've used in it. And after this video, I'll start making a series of guides on how to complete the campaign on Brutal, probably starting tomorrow with the first missions. So stay tuned for that. I feel like my throat is going a little bit. This has been a long video. I've talked a lot. Have to edit everything now, put it together and post it for you guys. And that's basically it. Thank you once again for watching. Until next video, stay tuned and be good.
I shall indulge. Rekan Thokishar. A fine scheme. A worthy order. We are in agreement this time.